I think initially you will start off most teams with their orthodox goalkeepers, but as it plays out, it's certainly something that I think everyone is looking at. I know you'll have other questions in terms of rules I'd like to change. We'll get discussing them later, but in general terms, I do think people have backup plans there that they will start to try to play out field players if they see it working well in terms of that 12v11 that you can get on the opposite side of the field.
I don't think, Aaron, it's going to change that much your mindset from what it is at the minute. If you have a good keeper that can come out the pitch, he's going to come out. There's two sides to this. I think the risk reward for it is that you're not facing as many bodies potentially, so you could get an overload if you have a good keeper. But I think that where the block is zonal defence set up, you're still going to need a good keeper doing that. The other thing is turnover ball, kick pass up the pitch, keeper's out of his goals. I mean, we've seen it a couple of times this year, keepers getting caught up the pitch. So the fact now that the team won in possession can kick it up the pitch and you have nobody in nets, it's going to be a very dangerous risk reward. So as much as you might think, yeah, he'll have more of a danger because of the 11 he's facing, the turnover ball could kill them and you could get badly caught out. So it's a very, very dangerous game to play, and it still comes back to, I suppose, the personnel that you have.
Very good, Brendan and Aaron. Right, this one here is a kick-out rule applied to 112-14 goalkeepers who may struggle to kick out beyond the required distance.
Well, my assumption is under 12 still play go games, so I don't think that will be an issue. And then one that I did notice at the weekend is that the goalkeeper can kick the ball twice if he can kick it once, and if nobody else up, he can kick it again. So something tells me that is obviously to allow for win conditions in adult football, but maybe at under 14. So if a keeper kicks a ball and no one has a chance to win an intercept, that he can go and play it again, and it's not a free against him. So there might be something in that there in terms of from under 14 up.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. Also, I don't think they've just assessed that yet, but there also is a clause in it that each county board have the rights to pass down rules in each individual county. So if they think that there's some of the rules there they would like to take out of some of the likes of an underage game like that, they have the authority to do that.
I heard that myself, that county board might can have the final decision in that with underage, you know what I mean? So yeah, that could be the case. Is there era of the roving goalkeeper over, somebody asks?
I'd say it's probably only beginning, is it not? we thought it was over, but no, like I said just in the previous one, there's backup plans happening in every county. Whether they all ultimately go with it, time will tell, because no one has seen what this new game looks like. And Brendan has mentioned there too in terms of the risk reward. But what you also have is, because that kick out can only go outside, it has to go outside a 40-meter arc. And to the sidelines, well, judging by Croke Park that night, and it's a big pitch, you don't have much room to maneuver those ping balls to the sideline as well. So your goalkeeper is nearly maybe going to be going maybe a bit longer in terms of trying to pick out these wee short passes and that has been done this past few years. So how good is an outfield player coming in and going long? Time will tell, but I definitely think that it is something that we'll just see. They'll be changing goalposts continuously throughout the National League next year in that regard.
Brilliant. Yeah. I'm just taking that slide down there. We're just going to move on here now to forward play. A few questions about forward play. What is the punishment for not having three in the opposite half of the field? Is it a free? If it's a free, from where?
Two things in this one. If you deliberately just run across the halfway lane, if I'm a forward and I deliberately run across the halfway lane to give myself an American advantage to get a tackle, it's a free from the 14-meter lane straight in front of the goals to the opposition. So it's carried straight up. If I'm coming running out and me and you, Tony, are competing for a ball and I end up with my momentum carrying it across the halfway lane, if I've got it and I'm mid-solo and I carry it across halfway lane, where I'm in the middle of playing it, it's a hot ball, or it's a free kick, from the halfway lane, because that's not a deliberate encroachment into the other half. So that is something that they have tweaked. So there are two variations to it. If you deliberately come across, it'll be a 14-meter free kick straight in front of the goals. Other than that, if you're in the act of playing, tackling, picking the ball up, soloing, and you cross it, it's a free kick just from that exact spot.
Very good.
Yeah. And that's going to be very interesting. I think with people trying to, I suppose as we're talking about this now, everybody's going to be thinking, how can they make the rules work for them? I was thinking about, like, say, your star man inside, and he's been marked by the opposition's best defender. Now, if he makes a quick break back and swaps with somebody, if that defender's not back, that defender can't go with him. So you're going to have a bit of stuff going on, I think, with players getting across the line, making a signal to somebody, you come up and be that third forward. I'm going back in around the house. So unless the opposition's totally on board with that, so you have somebody making a break one way and another. So how the defenders deal with that and how they come in and out, there could be, because we have this idea of the 3 up versus the 3, but of course, you know, that can change at each move. It only gets set whenever the opposition has the team and has that ball in. So there's going to be a lot of that, I think, happening. Only along with, I think, as we're trying to speed up the game, there could be a lot of possession just outside the 45, obviously between the halfway line and the team that's defending their 45. There'll be a zonal play set up there. That'll be like a kill zone in front of that arc. No one will want to concede 2 points. I think that's maybe just jumping into that part of the reason why the advanced mark's been kept, because there's going to be such a desperate play to stop that scoring zone being hit that we're going to want to kick the ball inside to keep teams a wee bit more honest that option's on to kick on inside. Otherwise, we could have a lot of possession-based football in between the halfway line and the defending team's 45. So that would be a wee bit of a worry. But certainly from the 3v3, Aaron's right. I mean, the punishment is severe, you know, in terms of a tap over kick. So you're going to have to watch that. And I was asking refs about that. I was saying, listen, is there going to be a wee bit of getting to know you in that? Is the linesman going to be saying, wait, you know, come back, say somebody hasn't looked across the line, but they're like, no, this is coming in, that's it, and you'll be punished. So the officials ain't going to be trying to, you know, you'd see it in rugby there, they're almost talking it. I thought we might have needed a bit of that at the start, but the rules are going to be enforced, that's it. There's going to be no grey area in that in terms of your position in that 3v3.
Very good, ma'am. Right. Just leading on, how will the 3 in each half rule work? How will the 3 in each half rule work? Should you have a player black carded or sent off?
Well, I was talking to refs, as I say, because I'll be picking their brain about it, because they're the people that are up to that. So if you have a player red carded or black carded, you can sacrifice one of your 3 inside, so you can still keep your 11 defending. And you can have just a 2 up if you have a red card or a black card.
So you don't have to play the 3 up if you have a man off the field.
Aye, you're allowed to keep your defensive line solid, so you're not being penalised in that area of the pitch, and you can go with just 2.
Very good. Right, the next one. If you won an advanced mark and no advantage occurs, can I bring the football outside the 40-meter arc? And can a different player take the kick?
I believe that. I thought that was changed. That's initially what they were doing in those Railway Cup games in Croke Park, that you could then take the free back outside the 40-meter arc and have a shot at a 2-pointer. But from my feedback, I don't believe that's the case. You can get the ball, take them on, go in, have a go for a goal, have a go for a point, miss, and it's an automatic where it's a tap or it's a free kick from wherever it is. In that instance, to me, it's probably a bit harsh, because like there's literally no reward for textbook defending once he's tucked that inside mark. You're nearly as well just to foul him, because he's going to get tap over free anyway. So that's a tough one. You know yourself, if you're an inside defender, Tony, like you'd be still scrambling to try and do the right thing, where there's no reward really, because he's going to go back and get a free, because there's no set time in terms of advantage for it. So it'll just go back to where it is and take a tap over from there.
Yeah, and just on it, I was just talking about the likes of those situations. We're just on about the 3v3 there. There's already, you know, you look at the rules are so vast, and I think obviously we're going to have to learn, and they'll be tweaked week on week, as we're saying with the FRC, in terms of finding the best way, particularly get on the championship. But there was a small one come up. You think straight away that if a team's 2 points up and the team's on the attack, if it's the last play, if that forward comes back in and steps over the line, it would be a tap over free, which would be a point. So they were saying like that was just one of these small things. I was talking to a ref earlier about that. That would be penalising the team who might get a 2-pointed arc shot. So they were saying a couple of these rules need to be tweaked around the referees having the authority on the pitch to call it, so they'd be able to call a potential foul for that outside of the arc, that they're allowing the opposition to have that kick rather than penalising them, making it a 1-point kick. So a few wee small things to be done yet, Tony, as they're tidying up. I know the refs were looking for a bit more clarity in a few things themselves.
Brilliant. Couple of wee pointers coming in there, and we'll just bring them into on the text box whenever you are just discussing that. But I see somebody saying there, Sarah's saying that the 2-pointers stopping short, the big full forward could be very useful in edge of square with teams going for the 2-pointers, because there'll be a number dropping short. And you're right, Sarah. Bring back the big full forward, get a fist on it or catch it. Another point there: if a team is attacking and a player deliberately steps over the line so as it prevents the attacking team getting a goal, or does the referee let play continue and see how it plays out?
Yeah, well, that's the exact scenario I was talking about there, Tony. That's what they're saying. It's a great point. Just like that, if a team has a run on somebody and even going for a goal, if you like, somebody steps in, then it ends up being a tap over free. So that's what the refs were saying. They needed a bit more clarity around the wording of it, so they could judge that. And that's 100%. That's another side of that. If somebody's potentially going in for a goal, somebody's going to step across and look to give a free. So yeah, that's something that I think just needs tidied up, that the ref can call that and let the advantage play.
Very good. Right, we'll just move on here. If an inside forward gets a mark and plays on to go for a goal, does he lose the mark if he passes the ball to another player, etc.? He gets the mark, offloads to a runner who then kicks it wide. Is the mark gone?
Yes, and if he turns to go back out the field again, so instead, if you get the ball and just go direct at goals, if you're an inside forward and you get a mark, straight for the black spot. Try and get yourself a goal, try and get a point. If not, yes, you can come back to take your mark. But if you pass to somebody else, or if you turn to come back out to do a 1-2, it'll be gone. Your advantage will be gone. The mark opportunity will be gone for you. You must go direct. Now, that's not technically in the rule book, but that's your best option, would be to go straight for goal.
The ball's in play. Once it's in play and you've given it on, it's just normal game again.
Right, very good, man. Excellent. For the advanced mark, when a player continues play after an advanced mark, has an effort and goal or point and misses, he can then come back and take a shot from the point of the mark. My question is, can he bring the ball outside the arc after an advanced mark to go for the 2-pointer? Or is it
that was one that was asked there, Eddie. That's the one I think wasn't it? Yeah, they did away with that one from allowing you to take it out. It was played in the Railway Cup games, but I think it's been done away with.
Yeah, it has.
Yes. Are the 2-pointers inclusive of shots scored directly off the ground, etc., frees or 45s?
45s have been taken out. Everything else, yeah. All right, Aaron.
2-pointer shots.
45s were initially in it, but I think they've been taken out because there was a fear again. You're going along the end line and you fist the ball off somebody, or actually blasted off a defender. If you've got a good 45 kicker, and there's plenty of them out there, there's a guaranteed 2 points. So people were thinking it could actually create a bit of a dangerous tactic. So I think that's been left out of it in terms of the 45s, but everything else, yeah, the frees and that are still, yeah, if they're outside the arc, they're 2 points.
And even that's right. No, I think you're definitely right there, Brenton. The 45s are back to 1 point again. Sideline kicks included this 2-pointers have scored, aren't they? They are outside that.
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah, it was only the 45s they took out of it. Who's the sideline kick masters? That takes a bit of work. Jaff Allen used to be at it back in the day. Murphy had an odd one on him there, but they're a rarity. Fair play. You deserve 2 points for them ones, Tony.
People have said that the 3 up, 3 back means that forwards now have it handy, as they don't have to track back. But could they be working even harder, as they will be told to chase down backs, and now have half a pitch to cover unassisted?
Yes. So there's very limited data is available at the moment. So all the teams who played in those Railway Cup games all wore GPS. So all of that there was made live to your S&C coaches in the different counties all across the country. And the middle 8 players, the amount of high speed runs that they have done in that game increased by 25% over the 4 games that weekend. Now, you know yourself, it was a bit open, and there was an awful lot of turnovers and that there. There'll be a bit more structure to it as teams get used to it, and as teams are used to playing with each other compared to those Railway Cup teams. But the inside forwards didn't change in terms of the distance they covered, but they did in terms of the high speed meters. So the big one is, I suppose, is back in your day, like how many times did you ever see Bernard Flynn or Mickey Linden back in their own cornerback tackling people? They never did it, but you still seen the sweat leaving their jerseys because they did all the running where the country went to see them in their own half, inside their own 30-meter lane. So yeah, that person is right. They will run as much, they'll run as hard, but they'll just not do it by having to go from 121 to the other.
Yeah. Listen, it's I think how the team gets back to set up in their zone is going to be interesting, only because if they don't go after the ball, those players start to filter back. So the 3 that's left have to work like dogs because they're going to be outnumbered. So if you've got real hard working forwards in there, which everybody has to be now, they're going to have to they're going to be outnumbered. They're going to be playing piggy in the middle with a few boys, but they're going to have to go after it. They've nothing else to do. That's their only game now, is to try and get a turnover, but they're going to be outnumbered. Now, obviously, the goalkeeper situation can't be given back unless it's in his box, but if the other team immediately starts to get into their own zone, they're going to be left isolated, going to try and work it. It'll be very interesting if they can seize a turnover. You'll see the other team coming back to support them again. That's going to be difficult in terms of that kind of keep ball, but it will at least give the team something to think about, because we've seen over the years one of the biggest reasons for this is the slow build up, because you end up with 6 defenders and 7 defenders in one zone and everyone backs off them, whereas now you're at least going to have the 3 and hopefully they will be joined by other people trying to get that turnover ball, so at least the slow build-up play will be challenged, which will encourage people to go forward quicker and then try and get the kick inside to their own 3 men, if you like. So the whole thing will at least be less pedestrian now. The horrible thing, I think, Tony, if you used to see the forward or the keeper coming out of the fullback and they're toe tapping the ball, just standing there. I mean, things like that there have to be eradicated from our game. It's just, you're kind of standing going, this is a disaster. So at least with the 3 humming around now, they're going to be trying putting a bit of pressure on. So their style of defending, and that's going to be very interesting. You're going to have people putting in savage work rates, and I know that the managers were looking for the extra sub. There was talk of a 6th sub coming in because, as Aaron's mentioned there is more exertion needed in players. That seems to have been, but hasn't been included for some reason. So I know a few managers was asking for that extra body in because there's going to be extra workload on people.
You have me thinking here, man. You 2 men. I'm just thinking now, would there be a chance, man? That could go back to even you're talking about the 3 up, Brenton and Aaron there. And if there's going to be 4 or 5 or 6 defenders coming out of the ball, them 3, it's going to be tough work for them. And when the ball crosses the halfway line, if you have a good goalkeeper, an outfield player who joins them, that creates the extra player for the attacking team. I'm just going to put the question back to you here. Would there be any chance, maybe you've said it, Brenton, would there be any chance that teams will go a full press here, straight away, and go 6 on 6 up on the other half of the field to stop them from getting that extra player in their own half of the field?
Yeah, certainly. I think probably that the fact that you've got 3 there, I think particularly where the ball goes as it's coming out, you look at teams there, they're always trying to position themselves. We see it now with putting teams out the line, waiting to get them into an area where they cut them off back in front and then squeeze. So I think depending where the ball comes out the pitch, players will assess Is there a chance for a turnover here? Do we commit to it? Of course, what we've seen over the years, it's been the opposite of that. Everybody's always playing safe. So what they're doing is, right, whatever, the ball's in their side of the pitch, they can't score there. We're going to back off and wait till we get you into a trap, as everybody says, and wait for a bad pass. So that thing of going after the ball, we've seen it, few teams doing it. It does make the game very exciting, and it can shock the life out of teams. And sometimes when you see teams with their backs to the wall and they just come out fighting, the other team's so used to nobody going after them that they can turn the tables on them and the momentum and all that there. So I still think, only, particularly, we talk about Ulster football, for example. I think Croke Park, that fast game, it's going to be such a different game with these rules at Croke Park. I still think, particularly if you're looking at some of the Ulster teams and particularly Ulster Championship coming down, I think that 11 zone will still be huge for the teams. That's going to be the base point for how they're going to win matches. That would be my thought on it. And so, listen, I think, Donegal's out in Abu Dhabi now. It'll be all about the 11 and the strength of that, and saying that I would call that a kill zone around that arc. It'll be mad to see that level of defending is going to go on to stop them 2-point kicks down. But yeah, listen, it's going to be interesting to see if anybody's brave enough to do that, because you are going to have a certain amount of players will be able to get back in around the house, but you're going to have the three up as well. So I think early on, and I can see most people erring on the side of caution, but by the time we get down the tracks and the Croke Park, I think the braver teams are the teams that'll come out on top.
Brilliant. Right, we'll move on here to Dissent here, whatever. Are we calm? One here regarding the Dissent rule. Again, it's as the referee's discretion, especially when focusing on returning the ball after a foul is committed. So is returning a football to the referee or a linesman, or simply placing football on the ground to be considered a dissent?
Yeah, yes. You have to give it back to that position.
You must hand it back to them. So if you pop it up in the air, so it'll hang for a second, or if you drop it on the ground, he can interpret that as you trying to delay the game and give a 50-meter penalty against it. So you must hand the ball to him. Now you can just sprint straight back to make sure you get back goal side, but you must hand the ball over to the opposition player.
And as well as that, Tony, the big one is the line as well. Dissent from the line again is a tap over free, and Aaron there will be keeping quiet when he's on the Sligo line there. He'd be in best behaviour. So that's a dangerous one. You could lose it. A manager could lose you the game by shouting at an official. There's
one here I'm going to come on to here, Brenton and Aaron, which is a very good one. But anyway, you said that there. Is this a possibility, or is this in the rules? If you get the 50-yard punishment against you, and that ball goes till, say, the 21 or 30-meter line or whatever, am I right in saying that the player, the team is taking a free, can take it outside the arc to go for the 2-pointer?
Yes.
Yeah,
so you can, if it's in the middle of the field and it's 50-meter, you can tell him to stop at the 40-meter arc and tap the ball over the bar. Well, it's not tap the ball over the bar, but yeah, if you're good enough, you'll kick it over the bar.
Or take it to a 21 or whatever it is, the 50 yards to be sure. But
so it would depend.
So say,
it would be. So say with time's up and you're 2 points down, and someone throws the ball away, to waste time, and it's brought up. For instance, Rian O'Neill can just take it to 40 meters out, and we could then have a draw game because of the same.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right. Move on here. That's brilliant. I think the dissent rule could be a problem for referees. How will a referee, this is it here, how will the referee deal in a case where players or sideline are trying to con the ref to move the ball up 50 metres into a scoring zone by pretending to be the opposition and abuse the referee behind his back? So let's say a referee in a club game with no linesman or TV cameras gives 50-50 free out between the 20 and the 45 in their own half, but someone from the team awarded the free abuses the ref from behind his back. He moves it up to the scoring position. The rule is this person says the rule is wide open to be abused and might be counterproductive. Teams will start arguing who said it, and the ref will have more issues to deal with. The referee will decide better, maybe not ball in the rule, and let the rule go there. That's Just a comment there. Right.
Listen, I think the referees on top of that, listen, they're usually clued into who's saying what. Can be hard to kind of maybe fool them like that. They have a fair idea when any shouts coming from. And listen, I think the big thing, I think how that looks from the people that's watching the game, and that you have to set good standards and good morals, and we can't have people shouting on and abusing officials, so I think that's probably got more and more wound up as more and more, I think, tension has come into games and that, and people, I guess the whole management team, you see them jumping up and down and shouting and abusing and that. So this is going to cut that completely out because, and again, it comes down to referee's discretion, which is a bit dangerous now. We all know in each county, we all have refs are, different from other ones. Let's say I'll keep it political here. I'll not get into any trouble naming anybody, but certain refs have certain attitudes to things. So you got to really be careful how they play it. And if they can actually decide the game with something like this, it's absolutely huge. So listen, people just gotta watch what they're doing. But I think the refs as well have to understand, you're passionate for the game as well. So I think it's you can't claim for something or throw up the arms, or you can ask, as long as you're not verbally attacking. I think that's the thing we're trying to cut out.
Right, man, we're doing really well here. There's a couple in the chat box that's directed for you and for both you, man, but I'll just go on here with these last couple. As an underage coach, the Go games are typically about letting the kids play, develop their skills, and enjoy the introduction to playing matches. So at what age group would you recommend a coach should be introducing the new rules? Is it only when they move from Go games to competitive games or sooner?
Well, we haven't had this meeting in Crossmaglen yet, but Tony McAtee and myself, we help out to look after underage coaching, but we would absolutely, I would imagine, not be doing anything until we hit on the 14 level. And then if they are being implemented by the Armagh County Board, well then obviously we will coach accordingly in that regard. But for me, what we do at under 8s, 10s and 12s is a bit retaining as many players as we can, making sure that they're enjoying the football, making sure that they enjoy the friendship that they get from being part of our club. And then we'll deal with the new rules, or your 15 aside, picking your starting teams once they hit on the 14. So I'd imagine that's certainly the way that we'll still be going within our own club. And to me, I think it's the best practice, trying to keep young people, particularly this day and age in sport, for as long as possible. That's the ultimate goal. That's the greatest success I think we can get whenever we're handing over our teams every year to the next age group.
Yeah, and I think we're just saying the likes of the Dissent and that, that's something kids is watching. And, while it's let go a bit, it obviously festers. And I think just to put a good stamp on it and have kids that are going to watch games, that there is the right attitudes coming in, the right attitudes to official. The only thing, maybe the arc one, if you look at young fellas there, maybe 13, 14, the arc kick would be difficult for them. Maybe, as you've different lads developing in that as well. So maybe leave that one out of it, I would say, because lads are going to be trying to have goals at it, or maybe if somebody like a goalkeeper who's maybe, physically that bit bigger in one team and can land those 2 pointers or something, might be a bit unfair. So maybe something like the arc I would leave out to maybe plus 16s or something like that there, 15, 16, maybe. That's the only thing I can think of, Tony.
Brilliant, right. Last few here, they're asking us here, if you had to drop one rule, what would it be and why?
You want to jump in there, Brandon?
If I had to drop one?
You had to drop one rule.
I don't know if I pick one out. The hot ball, Tony, at the start, the throw up.
Yes, a lot of people talking about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Just ask the players to stand. There's a lot of jostling and barging going on, but sure, the ref, can give a free. If not, just ask them to stand apart until the ball's in the air. I like I like the contesting of that. I thought it was a good way to start the game. So maybe not that. Initially, I don't like the mark at all. I just think in our game of Gaelic football, going 140 years, whatever, this is absolutely massive what's happening, but it's needed because we've coached the life out of the game in terms of its spectacle at times and possession. and blanket defence has killed so many football matches. So this has to happen. It's a while out at once. I didn't like the mark at all, and I think it was happening by accident in a lot of games, and teams then could accidentally win a mark. Very tough on defenders as well, marking them front, behind, where are we going? There were so many advantages to the forwards. So I initially didn't like the advance mark as well. I thought we should have just got rid of that. But now I'm thinking to myself, that zonal is going to be so strong up around the arc that we want to kick the ball on and over it and keep teams from maybe being as desperate in that area. So I can see a bit of reasoning for the advance mark. And as well as that, we have Michael Murphy back, so he'll probably give a few in.
Tony, just to go on the one that Brendan mentioned about for the hot ball in the middle of the field, I've had Eamon Fitzmaurice who spoke really well on that one there. The reason why, in my opinion, it's too much of an advantage to one team in terms of they can flick it to the fella who's right in front of them. You swap sidelines, you know, so where the referee throws the ball up, you could flick it to someone who could just run unopposed straight through because you're left with 6 defenders against 6 forwards all trying to mark their men, and there's no way the other midfielder can get across the field to him. And then you could start handing on, like, for instance, if I'm standing on one sideline, I could run to number 7 could go to number 6 would have to go and pick up the other midfielder. There's a lot of moving parts in that there happening. But they felt that the other 2 players, whenever they stood in the 245s, they were coming running in too hard, and there was too big collisions that happened in a few of those sandbox games. But to me, Jesus, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Like, let them at it. You know, as once or 2 people go up contest it initially, I think to put them on the sidelines is too much. But to go back to the original point, what would I drop and why I'd stop the goalkeeper from coming out? Because I wasn't a goalkeeper. I'm not good enough to be a goalkeeper. But I think there is goalkeepers were excellent at doing what they're doing. Their range of kickouts from Cluxton onwards there, their shot stop and everything has been unbelievable. I just don't agree that another team can actually get a numerical advantage inside your defensive half and you can do nothing about it. So if the other team, if we defend with 11 players inside their 45 and they get their goalkeeper out, you could see stages here now where you'll have 11v11 inside the 45, a goalkeeper standing between the 45 and the middle of the field, and 3 players looking at him going, I can't go back, I can't touch him, I can't tackle him. And the ball can keep coming back to him and he could stand solo and do what he wants. And the only thing you can do is get your goalkeeper to go to cornerback or fullback, get your cornerback to go to halfback, and get your halfback to push out of their goalkeeper and leave yourself with nobody in nets. And to me, I just think that's an awful lot to allow this sweeper keeper, roving keeper, or whatever it is. So that would just be the one. That's just my own opinion. I want to see your out and out defenders like you were yourself, or Brendan as an inside forward. I feel that we've lost too many of our marquee standout players in positions. Your centre half back's gone. Your centre half, well, who's Greg Blaney? Who's Brian McGuigan anymore? They're gone from our game. So that's the thing I'm looking really forward to, is can we get these marquee players, your out and out defenders, your out and out inside forwards, and build and develop a game around them. And hopefully that's what these new rules will bring.
Yeah, and you know what, Tony, see on that there, people used to have, Aaron just touched on it there, defined kind of rules. As the whole team became an offensive team together and became an attacking force together, we've kind of ruined the game in many ways. So that type of player you on it, but there used to be the 6 or the 11. Those players had a certain role, and it was like an art. The word yourself, the way you played, that was your role, that's what you did. Now you'd be expected to kick points. You're the last man coming in the back of the move. So now with these rule changes, we could get players back to being in that position. And one of the biggest things there, Aaron started with the keeper, which I totally agree. The keeper is the most defined, individual type player because of what he does, right? So if we end up promoting that player to come out the pitch, we're taking away that art form, what a keeper is, what he's supposed to be. Brilliant shot stopper, commanding his area, kickouts. That's what a keeper's supposed to do. He's not supposed to be a player that we just stick in nets because we can get an unfair advantage of a spare man. I think like anything in our game, it's unfair. It really annoys me. And the keeper coming out, so you've got a spare man. Why? Just because your keeper is able to come out the pitch and play. And a lot of people say, well, that's up to him, teams to do it. But really, that's an unfair advantage then on the other team. So you're a man down basically for no other reason other than you have a keeper that can play out the pitch. So I think take that out of the game. I agree with Aaron. I wouldn't have the keeper. I'd be less worried about him getting involved in the play back there than up the other end of the pitch. The fact is he stay in his box. I'd be more concerned about keeping him out of the opposition half. Put a keeper back to being what he's good at. Shot stopping, commanding area, kickouts. And let's encourage keepers. Because otherwise you're going to have a break in lads. Then people are going to be, why would you be a keeper? There's no guarantee even if you're the best keeper in Donegal to go with one outfield players. Like, I think that's such a dangerous thing we're doing with the game. So I totally agree with Aaron. I would stop the keepers coming into the opposition half.
And there's a possibility. Man, well answered, brilliantly answered. But I would say he's the right man. It's going to come a stage where they'll be looking for an outfield player for goals. Funny, we started that chat there. That last question was about the throw one, and my friend Mihal the day sent that and a question to me on email, and it was about that. He said that one-on-one throw one, the team that wins the ball, the other team is at a disadvantage right away because you have that poor creator standing on one side of the field. He can't do anything, and that whoever wins that ball can use that play, give that ball to that other player on the other side of the field, and the attack's on, and the other midfielder standing along the sideline and you can book all about do nothing about it, So it is a good point. Right. If you would,
Tony, there's someone just asked there about the defenders on the right hand side. Nathan, do you think it'll punish modern defenders? As you seen Aaron McKay scoring a goal in the All-Ireland final, will these rules of 3 back all times take away from the scoring cornerbacks, corner forwards? I don't believe it will at all, for the simple reason is I see most teams playing with 4 defenders, and you'll do that for 2 reasons. Number one, obviously to have an extra defender, an extra body to cut out a ball. But the main reason why you will do it is if you're, say, for instance, Tony, you're cornerback and you and Mickey Linden sprinting for a ball and you get it, if you have only 3 players there, it would get the stage where you might get the halfway line, just have to stop or turn and come back. Where once you always have the 4 players there, your other defender could say, keep going, Tony. I'm here. We have 3. You're covered. You're covered. Keep going.
Yes.
So you can go. So you can still, a defender can still go up and score as long as you're communicating well as a team and someone else is coming back. So I think absolutely that will come in. You'll always have 4 defenders there. It just depends whether the other team will be brave enough to push a 4th forward up in you. They might want to do the same in the opposition, but it.
Very, very good. Right.
Defenders from going up the field and getting scores.
Brilliant, Aaron. We see now there's a few more in that chat box. Just finishing off here. If you could keep one, if you could only keep one rule, what would it be and why? What rule do you like the most? These new rules?
I definitely like the 3 up, obviously. But honest, Tony, I actually would have went for 4, and I think there's some of the other rules in there. The tap and go one, for example, is going to be interesting round. The defender hitting the guy, he doesn't agree with the foul, he turns to the ref, puts his arm out, the guy taps and goes, he's gone. Like, that's going to take a lot of getting used to because he can't be touched for 4 meters. So if a defender commits a foul, he's immediately going to spring up and get back 4 meters away so he can engage the forward in case he taps and goes. So defenders don't have to go very quick, very fast, switch on to every situation, which will speed up the game, obviously, and it'll make it exciting as well. But I just think people are talking about possibly 13 aside and stuff like that. I think with the 4 up, it would have really put the pressure on, you're defending with the 10 then. And, there's plenty of room for 4 on 4 in that whole half of the pitch. And I think I would have went for the 4, would have been my only change rather than 3. But I think that's going to have the biggest thing. We want the ball. I mean, it's football. You're supposed to kick the bloody ball. And listen, I know this is me talking as a Donegal man. I could be getting a bit of stick from people. But listen, I actually interviewed Jim last week, and I was talking to him, about this advancement in that. So listen, all the coaches, and we have tons of them on here now, everyone's looking for that angle on it, but certainly this ability to go long with the ball. But I think Tony, players are so conditioned now over the last number of years, going to take a bit of time to get out of it. I mean, I was coaching my club team this year. you know, the whole way at the start of the season, get your head up, kick the ball, head up, kick the ball. Even if it doesn't work out, I don't care. I want you to kick the ball. I'll not complain about it. If you don't hit the man, or the ball goes over his head, or goes wherever, head up and kick the ball. And we were always trying to keep a platform inside so we could stretch teams and get in behind them before the zone and that, because our club football here, you know, was shocking, absolutely horrible at times. So this thing about the three up is the massive one for me, and I'm hoping, as I say, teams be brave with that. And the thing about the three up as well, I think, Tony, is the link. So say where you won the balls, if you won it back in your own defence, it's about getting it to a position where you can get it up to them guys, and then where they start to run is going to be huge, because we're going to have this awkwardness if somebody sprays a pass out wide and it's coming along the line. And the guy can't get over it. So we could have some funny wee instances in that where you could have two guys waiting on a ball to maybe get up to the bloody line. So there could be some awkward wee bits in it, Tony. But where that ball comes out to get the link man to then kick it is key. So if you lose it there and those three are harrying enough, while that zone's coming back in, you mightn't get to a position where you can get the kick because they'll be across screening. So that's a huge thing about the quick transition, and that's why I say the braver teams that can break out first can get away from that first tag maybe and release the guys, and you'll have a massive panic then of the opposite team trying to get back. You might get one-on-ones inside, which is the key to it, but certainly so many teams I think are conditioned to just keep it now and use the space. So I'm hoping that that part of the game develops.
Aaron, if you'd only want to keep, what one do you like the most?
Wholeheartedly, I would agree with Brendan. It's the one that excites me the most because I think it gives us a bit more of a traditional shape to our game. And just like I'd mentioned, I think if coaches go at it the right way, that we will start to bring back the household names in positions that we've all grown up loving, admiring, and wanting to be. So absolutely, I'd be all for the 3v3 in terms of how you can attack, but also bringing back that one-on-one defensive skill to the game.
The last one here, and we'll look at a couple in the text box maybe. And Brenton, I don't want you to say the 4 up here. Yes, you love the 4 up. If you could introduce any other rule, what would it be and why? That's a difficult question with all of that. If you had to introduce a new rule, what rule would it be in Gaelic football?
Well, I would say Aaron kind of touched on it there with the keeper. That's the thing I dislike the most. So whatever, if I could, I think 4 up and keep the keeper in their own half would already, because you'd have 4 possible defending forwards in. I think 4 up, keeper in their own half. I'd actually be happy enough for that, Tony. The scoring arc and all that, honestly, guys, I don't like it. I don't like changing our scoring after all this time that we're playing it. I was happy enough the way that was. So, and that's just my own opinion on it. I would just like to, if I could do the rules, I would do them too. And I'd nearly be happy enough for that. Now, again, I could be the tap and go thing in that. I'm not sure how it's going to look until I see it. But certainly, the Dissent and all those, yeah, good. I mean, I obviously didn't see a while on that in my time there that there was a lot of, say what I'd say, OTT abuse or anything going on, and the refs could always send off people and can always get on, can book managers send them off and people on the sideline anyway. So those two nearly would have did me. 24 up and keep the keeper in their half. I've been happy enough for that.
Aaron?
No, there's much more educated men than me who sat down and nitpicked with the whole thing, and they've come up with these rules. So I think there is loads, and there's so much that we're all going to have to learn as fans or as coaches. But no, outside of that, there, I think they've went at it in the right manner, looking to fix the trends that were happening in our game, and I'm happy enough that they've come up with as many answers as they need, and we'll just have to all get learning.
Right, a couple of questions from the chat box here, ma'am, and that's us. We're just nearly there here. Has there been? I'm sure these are quick answers. Has there been anything decided in terms of keeping numbers up, etc., for 13-a-side juvenile games?
No, not that I'm aware of. Tony, I haven't heard anything on that.
Right. Whatever. We see. Another fella, another coach says here, GM says, Eamon Devlin was on last week with us now. Eamon Devlin stated last week there will be over 200 rules between football and hurling. Do you think we're making the game too complicated?
There's certainly a lot to learn, and like I said, I was sitting down with a new management team yesterday, and you're trying to go through them all, and everyone's asking a different version of question. There is going to be a lot of learning. There's going to be mistakes, but to be fair, I'm not really going to complain about it because, in my opinion, the game badly needed it. I think it's a spectacle. This had to happen. It is an awful lot to be happening at the one time, but I think it's well, it's tough now at the minute. I think it's better because I think if you were just tweaking 2 things a year for the next 2 or 3 years, I think that would be even worse. I think we're all starting on a level playing field here where we don't really know how it looks, but we're just going to be positive about it, that it's going to have a good impact.
Yeah, I think only the big thing again, going back to officials, you know, if anybody's ever reffed a game, I'm sure they have, even a bloody in-house game with your club, it's a nightmare of a place to be. You know, you have to be so switched on, and there's a lot of pressure attached to that. So, you know, we're really asking a lot of our officials now. Obviously, the county, you have your umpires, your linesmen, you know, fourth official, whoever there. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of backup for them at the start. Obviously, there can't be any challenge games or anything until January. So, you know, the refs are going to have to get up to speed very quick. So I think we need to be understanding with them. Obviously, a lot of people are worried down the tracks. You're looking into, say, you know, different levels of championship, you know, and different refs, then it could be very awkward come the club season for a few people. But I agree with Aaron, for whatever, I suppose, bit of awkwardness or getting to know you, we have to do it only because we can't have what's been happening to our game, you know, this last since the real blanket and stuff come in. And listen, me and Aaron, our Ulster boys, have to hold our hats. We're not blaming anybody else for that. I'm just saying, only forever, whatever you have to do to help this along. Obviously, it's going to be judged every week. It'll be tweaked every week if need be, and you know, we'll look then to see what makes the cut for the championship. So hopefully, in everybody's mind, there's going to be so much coverage on this. By the time we get into club stuff like that, people will be fairly up to speed with it. And again, you can't be giving any dissent back, so we're going to have to just roll with that. So listen, I'm really looking forward to it.
Just one last one here, man, and a scenario for Brenton and Aaron. It says here. Now, you don't have much time to think about this here, but we'll see what a scenario for Brenton and Aaron. You're a new under 16, under 18, on the age coach, teaching the new rules to your team. Tactically, what top three tactics would you teach the team? And technically, what defensive and attacking skills do you work hard on? Do you just want to try that one? Tactically, what top 3 tactics would you teach your team?
Well, I suppose I'll talk defensively, like Brendan talk forwards.
Right.
Tactically, I think what is going to be absolutely massive here is between your goalkeeper and your...
Hello, Aaron?
We lost you there a second.
Sorry.
Okay. You're on now, are you? No,
Sorry.
That's it now, Aaron.
Sorry. Tactically, I think the players in defence and your goalkeeper, what's going to be massive for them is communication. Just being switched on all the time, because defensively you've been so used to a slow build up in front of you, and you've been so used to numbers around you. You have to be switched on all the time now in terms of where the ball is. Even once it goes out of your half, where are you positioning yourself in case this is a turnover? Am I in a good position here to maybe cut out an initial pass, or am I well set if there's a long ball coming to my man? So communication in terms of your 3 defenders and your goalkeeper, and being focused the whole time, is going to be absolutely massive. And then you break that down into smaller bits, going back to what you would have traditionally done as a player, Tony, just working on your one-on-one defensive stuff. You know, everyone obviously knowing which foot your opponent kicks with, which side you want to show them down to try and delay them as much as possible, to try and get that there help back that you have been used to getting around you. So something as simple as that there, communication will have a massive bearing on how well you actually defend initially here.
Yeah, I would just go down. Yeah, I'm saying forward play, I suppose, you know, kicking the ball, the skills of the game. You know, the bravery of our game was gone so much. I mean, defending in numbers, really, I'd call it sheep, you know, sheep defending. You know, give me 15 fit men anywhere. I'll make you hard I'll make them a force that will be hard to break down. You know, that's not skill. You know, that's numbers. So while we're taking out the numbers now, we're trying to bring back the skills of our game. And I think for coaches out there, we have to be brave. We have to nurture the next generation of talent as those people are on about at that age. You got to make them love the game. I'm not telling no man to go you and stand in this zone and hand pass the ball left or right then. I think that's an absolute disgrace what's being on in our game at all levels. Anybody does that to me, they shouldn't be part of the game. You got to encourage people to go and play. I mean, sport is about being brave. It's about passion. It's not about safety. Safety, you know, go and play bloody chess or play a board game or something like that. This is a game of Gaelic football. It's supposed to be blood and guts. It's supposed to be passion. You're supposed to attack the ball and attack the opposition. Want to beat them, not out defend them, you know. And that's why I think now we're at this point where we got to go for it. So I would encourage the forwards to go for it. And everybody, you know, you can't fail. No, you can't have the guy, as I would say to guys, you don't highlight young boys' faults. You say, this is your zone. This is where you're best. Coming in from that side, this area, this is where you're at your best. Not that you can't kick from 30 yards, 40 yards. Get you in this zone. This is where you're at your best. And as Aaron was saying, the great thing about sport and everything it brings into your life, I think also from a forwards perspective, then pick your time of when to tackle. You know, so if you see numbers out there, no point you rushing in, playing piggy in the middle. You know, you got to pick your time. So the three that's in there got to work together. So if you see an opportunity that some guys come back in a ball and you look around you and you think there's 3-on-3 here, go after them, hunt them then. Hunt the ball at the right times, I think is going to be the key, because there's no point in you turning after a ball when you're outnumbered as the other team filters back in. So there's two big sides of it, I think, for the forwards in terms of how they defend initially in there and then how you attack.
Hey, man, thank you so much, Brenton and Aaron. Absolutely brilliant. I see somebody with a comment there about, yes, these rules will be reviewed at the end of 2025. There was a motion passed on that I think Jim Gavin was keen that they were reviewed, these new rules. So yes, the game will be looked at the end of 2025. Just to finish up, hey, the questions are coming thick and fast there, and you couldn't go through them all. Coaches, brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on, coaches. Hopefully the two men were absolutely superb. Again, thank you so much, man, for taking time off to come on the night in this webinar, for learning us all and letting us know what's happening. So I really, really appreciate it, Aaron and Brenton. And thank you, coaches. And please, coaches, give me the feedback whenever I send out the wee form. And happy Christmas to everybody. So night, everyone.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, folks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.